Welcome to the Sports Resort, your home for all things sports, with your hosts G Money,
Say, Padre T.
and Connor. Let's get to it. Hello and welcome to the Sports Resort. This is your home for all things sports. I'm your host, Gannon Cornley. Want to welcome you guys. This is now episode 40, the big 4-0. Want to welcome you guys on in. Just like last week, it's just me and my man Toby on this week's episode. He is rocking the robe on here. Very
Rally robe.
Very exquisite, man. On this week's episode, but we have a lot of content to get to, a lot of updating you. NFL has kind of slowed down just a little bit after the draft. We do have some acquisitions that have been made, though, that have been headline news. NBA, with just 1 week away from finalizing the standings that will be on this year's NBA playoffs. We can say the exact same for the NHL. Actually, they've already finalized, I believe, their standings, so we know who will be in the playoffs in the NHL. MLB, lots of movement, especially for the teams that we hold close to our hearts, and some of our teams are breaking some of our hearts with their most recent play, so we will get into all of that as well. And then for the second time in a row, we have got to address some horse racing. There was some Kentucky Derby madness that we do have to address, because this would not be a great sports show if we did not talk about it. So we will get on to that. But first, before we get started, anything you want to add, my guy? On the episode Big 4-0. How about that?
Right. We finally made it. I think we're rocking a solid 40 for 40, which would be pretty great in baseball terms. I think Connor and Monte are hitting just below the Mendoza line at 200 for episodes made now. No, they might be a little bit over. I'll give each of them 10. 10 for 40 is still not too bad in baseball terms.
Not terrible.
Could be worse.
Yeah. At this point, though, I'm starting to wonder, will they make as many episodes as many years as Tom Brady will play in the NFL? I think it's up for discussion.
I don't think before 100. Not before 100.
I think that's a debate to be had. I don't think that man's retiring anytime soon. So we'll have to see. We'll have to try to get them back on here. But yeah, no, for our first segment, you guys know the deal. We title it, "What Is You Doing?" And we're going to highlight some of the biggest idiots in the world of sports. People doing way too much. You need to just calm down and shut their mouths. I'll let you go first this week. I went first last week. I'll let you go first.
Since you've labeled them as idiots, I feel a little bit guilty about this one. Because mine is going to go to Alabama high school girls softball.
What?
There was a game played in the state tournament between schools called Park Crossing and Lanier, who played a 5-hour softball game and combined for 91 runs.
Oh,
yeah, and you would think, wow,
fire.
Is this just the biggest blowout of all time or whatever? Amazing game. 46-45, the final score. However, there needs to be some context, because by itself, you'd say, wow, the bats really came alive. There were 65 walks.
Oh, that's even worse. The pitchers are worse than I thought. I thought they're just giving up home runs. They can't hit the strike zone.
65 walks.
Oh.
29 hit by pitches. One team had 15 hits in the game. The other team had 5.
What?
And we got a 46-45 game.
5 total hits.
I'm thankful in this article they're not showing us errors, so we don't know how many are earned runs. But there was a girl on Park Crossing who scored 7 runs and never recorded an at-bat because she was walked 5 times and she got hit by 3 pitches. So,
nah, bro. Both coaches need to be fired immediately. Fired immediately.
To Alabama softball. In Alabama softball, like the university, Alabama and Auburn softball, amazing programs. So
this is what they have to choose from in state.
And recruiting out of state, I know that. Because Alabama softball, what is you doing?
Yeah, that
made the parents sit there through that. Man.
Their parents could have gone to work, came back, and still had enough time to see their child score. Like, yeah, baby, I was here the whole time. They putting in OT.
My goodness. I would have left. And as the umpire, you can only expand the zone so much. 29 hit by pitches.
Yeah. You can't negotiate that. It's like, nope, I didn't see it.
No, it hits them.
I didn't see it staying there. We're getting some for real earned runs here.
And what's worse too, is that because it was a close game, you couldn't just like completely throw away all like officiating. Sometimes you see it in those little league games when the score gets out of hand. There's like, you know what, widen the zone a ton for our guys. We're up by 15. You couldn't do that here. It was a close game. Now teams were probably scoring 15 runs per inning, so it looked like a not close game, but my goodness.
Yeah, what are they doing? You know, as bad as that is, the candidate I have for my what is you doing makes in my opinion, a pretty compelling case to be just as bad. My what is you doing goes to the one and the only Kendrick Perkins for his ridiculous comments he made in the middle of last week when this man had the nerve, the unmitigated gall to say that it is harder to win an NBA championship than to win the Super Bowl in the NFL. That is just absolutely asinine. Just on no way and no platform is that even close to true. The NBA, the best team wins every single year. The best team wins the NBA championship every single year. Minus, I will say, I don't know. I still think the Warriors had they had Draymond Green not get suspended in one of those finals, they could have won that. But that was his own fault. So that just comes with having him on the team. But more or less, the best team wins the NBA finals every single year. There's no, now you get a Heat every now and then where they go from the 5th seed. And that was, I think, the first time that ever even happened. But you get a team that's usually you didn't think would get all the way to the finals. But they don't ever win. They don't ever win. The best team in the NBA wins every time because you can go out there and play your worst possible game 3 times and still be considered and still win. In the NFL, it takes one bad night, sometimes one bad play, and affects the entire game. I don't know how. Look, I know he's a former NBA player. He's married to the game. Shout out Future. But my goodness, what? There's no way you think you can seriously consider it easier to have 4 opportunities to win than in a one and done situation. You cannot tell me that. And what makes it even worse is he loses his own argument within the same sport. Why do we love the NCAA tournament so much? Because it is insanely hard to win. That's why the same teams don't always win, or the best team always wins, because you have one bad night and you're going home. So we even see it on the college level in basketball in the same exact sport, that if you don't have your best night, you can go home, which therefore means it is far harder when you can have 3 bloopers on your resume and still be crowned the undisputed champions. What is you doing, Kendrick Perkins? And had the nerve to go on Twitter, back up his original stupid point, got absolutely murdered. And it was so funny is he made this point while on set against 2 former NFL players, and they just Ryan Clark and Dan Orlowski absolutely just shredded him. I mean, it just made no sense. Kendrick Perkins, what are you doing?
Yeah, that's a horrible opinion. That's a really bad opinion. You know, there's a reason why we have so many guys that are chasing six in the NBA.
Yeah.
One of the greatest players of our generation has one Super Bowl right now, Aaron Rodgers, and he'll go down as probably maybe the most talented quarterback to ever play the game. It's so different. The sports are so different too.
Drew Brees,
I think
one title.
I think
Peyton Manning,
you know,
2 titles.
Yeah, and I think the sports are so different too. One, it's harder to make the playoffs. Two, I think football is a tougher game to win because it requires 11 guys at the same time doing their job. Whereas in the NBA, you can have LeBron James and go to the finals 9 straight years. An absolutely ridiculous comparison between the two.
And he left, and think about it. He's been to 9 of the last 10 finals, and he was a part of 3 different teams.
Yeah, you just insert and go. Like, and
he's been to 3 different cities. He went to middle of the country, to the East Coast, to the West Coast. 9 of the last 10 years been to the final.
Yeah,
and before him, Kobe had been to because they had the Lakers had a 2-year absence out of the finals, and then Kobe himself had been to 6 of the last 9, going back to when he was with Shaq, and then after their departure. Dude, the best players in the NBA go to the finals, and the best teams win basically every single time.
Yep. Perkins, he's not shy to make those ridiculously dumb takes. So look out for him again on What Is You Doing, or perhaps even a Creed moment, because they'll be there. Oh boy, will he be there.
Oh, well, as bad as Kendrick Perkins is, he has nothing on my Creed moment this week. Let me tell you. Yeah, a little intrigue there, so stay tuned. Because I'm going to go off.
That's what we call a teaser.
I am going to go off on my Creed moment. But that'll do it for this week. What Is You Doing? Alabama softball. What? And Kendrick Perkins. Just stop. Just stop. Goodness. But we're going to continue on over into the NFL. Speaking of people who need to stop, okay, let me go first on here on record. Tim Tebow. Listen, this guy is like my childhood hero. Okay, Kobe Bryant is. But after that, Tim Tebow's probably number 2. Why? Bro, hang it up. You're 31 years old. The reason I can't even get into explaining it before I get into my personal feelings. So Tim Tebow, former Denver Bronco quarterback, former Jet, former New England Patriot, former Florida Heisman Trophy winner, has signed a 1-year deal with the Jacksonville Jaguars to be a tight end. I just don't get it. I really don't get it. Maybe from the Jaguar standpoint, I guess it's a publicity stunt. I mean, why not? I guess you have a young quarterback. There's a whole lot of hype surrounding the team. Why not bring in a celebrity? I guess it'll keep you relevant in the news. But
take some of the eyeballs off Lawrence.
Yeah, because everyone's gonna be talking about Tim Tebow and his relationship with Urban Meyer. But from Tim Tebow's perspective, why? I don't get it. You're 31. You're my guy. I love hearing you on the SEC Network and ESPN when you're a game, not a commentator, but a sportscaster and reporting on the things going on around the country in college football. Why is that enough? Why is that not enough? 31. And my main real issue with this is not necessarily even him coming back. It's that a 31-year-old guy who's never played a down in the NFL as a tight end is gonna make a roster. When you have guys who have dedicated their entire lives, tight ends who have dedicated their entire lives to get even a chance, not even officially made them, to even get a chance to crack a roster, and they'll never be looked at. But a guy, because of his name, who he never even played the position, will more than likely make the team. I think that is asking.
Yeah, and that's good. That'd be completely on the Jaguars. If they want to take a guy who is inferior at the position just so they could have some star power or have Urban Meyer's guy in the locker room, then that's all the Jaguars' fault. If Tim Tebow turns out to be an
coach, if you want him in the locker room,
he could have hired him out as a coach. His last coaching search did not go.
Hired a racist to be his last coach, so we know there's a spot open.
Yep, there is spots open in the locker room. You know that. So I'd be on the Jaguars. It'd definitely be on them. The reason I think Tebow's back is I think Tebow is just – I think he's just so competitive. And being a sports broadcaster, they need to bring him on one of those debate shows, right? So that he can get the competitive aspect of it there, debating back and forth with those guys. Because he goes on SEC Network and everybody's pretty much goes, well, yeah, Tebow, you know the SEC better than everyone else. And all the points you're making are very valid. We're not going to try to debate you on it. I think he wants to be challenged. I think this is the next challenge for him. When I first saw it, I didn't hate it. Because I partially saw him not making the team just because I thought back on his like track record as a quarterback when he was bouncing around, because he wasn't a horrible quarterback in Denver. I mean, he had a lot that he needed to work on, but he wasn't horrible. And then everybody just kept cutting him. There seemed to be no remorse, no care about the name value that came with Tebow. But it's that dang Urban Meyer down there is going to sneak him onto the team. They're probably going to use him to run it in at the goal line. And like that, he's going to serve one purpose. It's going to be running straight ahead on those and one situations. But
he's going to be vulturing a lot of touchdowns from their running backs.
Yeah. And James Robinson already has to be like, hey, I had a really good season. You took a running back in the first. Now you're going to vulture the short yardage touchdowns.
Yikes.
You hate to see it for James, but yeah, to be honest, I can't see Tim Tebow going out there and becoming Travis Kelce.
Do we even know he can? Come on now, like I hate to do this. I don't want to do this. Sit here and break down because I don't like the idea. The last thing I want to do is sit here and talk about his athletic ability. But can he even catch? Listen, I will go to bat for Tim Tebow as a quarterback back in the day. I think that he should have been given multiple more chances than what he was given. And I also think the Broncos replaced him with Peyton Manning. So, I can't really fault the Broncos there. But I do think the Jets did him really wrong with their whole handling of him. And I think the NFL could give him some more chances. But, he's 31 now, man. That was like 9 years ago. And look, I'm not a quarterback expert. I thought he did fine enough to warrant a quarterback job in the league. But based on people who know the sport for a living, said he can't throw. How is he now going to – and that's the main thing he's done his whole life. He's now going to go from that to catching a ball to blocking. He was a quarterback. It'd be a sin if he ever put his hands on a defensive player. Now he's going to go to blocking for a guy who's relying on him. I don't want to do that to my guy Tim, but this is just stupid. And I think it's dumb. This is also, keep in mind, this is a team that desperately needs a tight end. So they're straight up choosing to not choose an experienced tight end or go get a younger tight end, a guy they can like build there to be their future tight end, and choosing a guy who's a celebrity. I don't get it. And now look, they're in my favorite team's division, so I guess maybe that helps us that somehow. But I just think this is dumb, and I don't really get it. I do. We had in our prompt we had do we think he'll make the team? To be honest, I think he does. I think Tim Tebow will be suiting up day one for the Jaguars.
Urban Meyer's so unpredictable. So based on merit, I would say he shouldn't or won't. Not shouldn't because we haven't seen him play, but won't. but I couldn't tell you that in any sort of confidence
No.
because
I
of
also don't
who
think
makes.
he's going to be playing much either. The time he gets, like, come on, like, listen, look, Urban Meyer, that's his boy. Urban Meyer likes to win, and he has done very well at winning everywhere he's gone. He's not going to stick Tebow out there if he doesn't know what he's doing. So
Right.
I don't think he plays very much.
I'd agree.
Yeah. One person who we were wondering how much he's going to play is the new offensive tackle for the Indianapolis Colts, Eric Fisher, former Kansas City Chief. He is coming off of, he tore his ACL, correct? That was his injury?
Yes.
Yeah, he recently tore his ACL, so won't even be available right away. The Colts offered him $9 million to sign with them, a very steep price that the Chiefs obviously were not willing to make. But it's another lineman for Carson Wentz, who they are going all the way in for. Do you see this panning out well for the Colts?
It is so hard to say. It is so hard to say because Costanzo was kind of a rock over there. I mean, he was still good. The retirement, I think, hit the Colts by surprise. And I don't want to say that the Colts were too complacent about it because Fisher's a good football player. But you just never know after one of those injuries. There's just no telling how he comes back, when he comes back. And they're going to be expecting results right away. This is a team expected to win right now. Carson Wentz is a guy who has to produce right now. And you didn't go get him a left tackle in the draft. You didn't go get him a tackle early in free agency. You kind of waited and waited and waited. Now you've got a guy who's may or may not be available week 1.
Oh no, man! He tore his ACL in like January. There's no
way. No, you wouldn't think so. So I don't want to say the Colts waited too long because if he comes back healthy, they're getting a really good offensive tackle.
Former number 1 overall pick.
Yes, former number 1 overall pick. But man, this is another one of those moves for me where it's only time will tell. I'm sure the Colts will be running the ball more than anything behind Quentin Nelson to try to minimize Carson Wentz's impact on the game right away anyway, so that there's not too much hype or too much hate coming Wentz way early on in his Colts career. So it'll be interesting to see how they handle this if he's not ready to go.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that's just a lot of money. That's a lot of money to pay for a guy who probably won't play all 17 games this upcoming season. So not $9 million. I mean, the team that was just in the Super Bowl wasn't willing to pay that, and that was their main need. So, I mean, that kind of tells you if he wasn't worth it to the team that lost the biggest game. I don't know. I think that was a steep price to pay. So like you said, time will only tell on Eric Fisher. And another thing too, time will only tell for Davante Adams, the Green Bay wide receiver's future, as he's coming up on his last year of his contract. When recently asked how long does he see himself staying in Green Bay, he kind of said it depends on Aaron Rodgers' future, which means that does not bode well for a man that's threatening to not play at all and or retire. So I think who would have thought just like 2 years ago that the Packers would plan Aaron Rodgers' replacement, trade up to get Aaron Rodgers' replacement. Aaron Rodgers now would refuse to play for the team, and Davante Adams could see his way out the door. You can't make this up. You cannot make it up.
Well, as they say, all good things must come to an end. And it's no secret, I'm not a huge Packers guy. But I see Rodgers' time coming to an end because I believe he will hold out, even if they don't trade him. He has a lot of leverage. And Davante Adams' entire future at that point comes down to how does Jordan Love play? And I hate to be this guy who's not giving you definitive takes on this because it's another time will tell sort of thing. But the way Davante Adams was talking, it sounded like he's so connected with Aaron Rodgers that he wants to go wherever he goes. So if he sticks in Green Bay, I'd say Adams is going to get paid a ton of money by Green Bay and stay there. And if this Rodgers thing plays out and he doesn't play all season, I bet you he doesn't pick up the phone for the Packers when they call to negotiate contract. He'll just go with his boy Rodgers, like the Brady crew follows him down wherever he goes. I think we see a very similar thing based on the way he was talking. It sounded like Adams' allegiance and loyalty held more with Rodgers than it did with the Packers organization. And that's what I got from the quote.
Yeah.
But he obviously he didn't rule out coming back to Green Bay altogether. He's still got to play the season there. Yeah. He's coming up on a contract year, but that's what I took away from it. Is I think if Rodgers does go through with this, Adams is out of there. Unless Jordan Love is the next Mahomes, like they thought when they drafted him. That could change some things, but I'm gonna be real honest, I don't see it.
No, that is not what's going on here. And even as great as Mahomes is, he was surrounded by the best supporting cast you could throw. The Packers cut anybody that Aaron Rodgers likes. So they don't. And they don't.
I can't imagine
they don't draft first-round offensive players. So he's got.
I can't imagine Kumaro was asking for that much money, and the Packers still cut him after Rodgers publicly said he liked him. They're a savage front office. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
See, this is what happens when a whole city
go on record and just said he just personally hates Davante Adams, and they'll sign him immediately. Give him the biggest deal this world has ever seen.
Aaron Rodgers does Green Bay one last solid before he leaves.
I hate Davante Adams. And Davante Adams, first receiver to get more than Mahomes.
That'd be something if they.
Bro, that's like
they gave him that kind of money.
That's like $20 million a catch.
I just laugh.
$500 million. That'd be insane.
I would just have to laugh at him. What are you doing,
bro? I still don't know. The Green Bay Packers are a mess. They're just bad, and I don't feel bad for them. They have done my man wrong. I've been saying this for a better part of a decade now. How wrong they have treated this man, and y'all from the get go have been saying, "Oh, he's got this. He's got help here. He's got help there." I am telling you, this man has been absolutely disrespected.
Now, to be fair, he did have 6 Pro Bowl teammates. So when we say help, he's got dudes. There's dudes on the Packers.
Every great quarterback has dudes. The difference is they have franchises that try to take the next step. This franchise is okay with 1 seeds and NFC Championship appearances.
Yeah, but 6 All-Pro players or Pro Bowl players, not All-Pro.
What does that mean? The Chiefs had several Pro Bowl players this year. That does not win you a Super Bowl.
But it got him there.
That's fine. It does not win you a Super Bowl, which is why they have 1.
But they have more appearances than the Packers do in Rodgers' time there.
Because the Chiefs want to win.
In as many seasons.
Because the Chiefs want to win and do whatever it takes. Look at their offseason. They do whatever it takes to get the guy who's going to get them there, make him happy, and support him. They're going to do whatever it takes.
But I think sometimes, because the Packers front office, they draft defense because that's all we've talked about that's ruined them games. When we talk about when they lose in the playoffs, it's always.
But then they don't pan out.
But that's the chances they're taking. Because they get Davante Adams 2nd round. They got Aaron Jones 5th round. So they're finding some talented skill position players later in the draft. Not all the time, but they're finding them later in the draft. So they're trying to address this defense that's let the Packers down so much. So that's kind of where, like, I can see it from their side. They're trying to improve on that side of the ball so that that's no longer an issue. So that maybe Rodgers doesn't have as many weapons on offense as, say, the Buccaneers do. But they're trying to improve on defense so they don't allow, for the 48 points of the Falcons in the NFC Championship and the 220 rushing yards to Raheem Mostert in the NFC Championship and all that. But yeah, they're just not hitting on him. So I think they're trying to improve the team by sort of ostracizing their quarterback and making it, well, we're doing what's best for the team. Whereas, say, in a case like the Bengals, I think they went out and got Jamar Chase because Joe Burrow wanted him. But it might end up hurting the team because you might have passed on a generational type offensive tackle and Burrow will still be running for his life. So it's about finding balance, and they've done a really bad job of it. And I agree, they haven't helped out Rodgers near as much as they could have. But I don't think it's 100% for a lack of effort. I think it's for a lack of, for better terms, relationship with Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, which you just don't see with any other franchise as a star quarterback. Until now, with Russell Wilson, we're just now seeing that.
Yeah, and even then, I think the Seahawks
they'll do whatever he wants.
Yeah, they haven't done all of it yet, but I think they're definitely going to try to make some things happen.
They will do whatever he wants. Yeah. But yeah, no, that was a great discussion. I mean, that's kind of what we have for the NFL this week. Not a whole lot. The master schedule is being released tomorrow evening. So when this airs, it'll be later that night, Wednesday night coming up. So be tuned to see. I'm actually really excited for this. They're kind of dragging it out. So
I don't remember them having a show for it.
They have not.
I felt like the schedule just dropped. But
yeah, we'll see. Tennessee finally won their division, so we will be seeing the Kansas City Chiefs at some point. I wish it was here, but that game's in Nashville, so might have to get some tickets though. Might have to go there. We'll see.
Yeehaw!
Depends on the week.
Yeah, when you can get off work.
I know. Yep. But transitioning now over into the NBA with just one final week, and he groans because he knows it's no bueno for really either one of our teams.
Your team's in a much better spot than my team. I'll say that.
Well, I'm currently watching my team, and I'll tell you how I feel depending on how this game goes tonight.
Well,
we're a game and a half out of the 6th seed spot, and that's just not okay.
Yeah, well, at least you're not 2.5 out. You're the 6th seed.
You're actually
3 out.
You're actually 3 now.
Yep. I think we're actually locked in. I think we're locked into 7. Or no, it's a win. A win locked us into 7.
Yeah, so the Hornets are 2 games back, so probably not making up that difference with a week left.
No, and we better not lose to I mentioned it last week, better not lose to the Cavaliers and Timberwolves.
Crazy.
But I said last week, I'm sorry to our viewers, because I was a homer last week, and I said we could get some things turned around.
They lost all those games.
We did beat the Magic by a ton of points, but the Magic are essentially a G League team right now. Then we lost to the Bulls embarrassingly. Jaylen Brown out for the rest of the season. News comes in right before he loses 2 in a row to the Heat, who have now moved up, clinched a spot in the playoffs, not the play-in seed, clinched a spot in the playoffs, and could actually move all the way up to the 4th seed. Remember how they started the season?
Yeah.
They could find their way up to the 4th seed.
And hopefully the 4th seed loses because they're playing my Lakers right now. And the Knicks.
Yeah, that's an entertaining race that I wish the Celtics were still a part of. But here we are. just hanging on to the play-in spot. And I don't even know. Like if we play in the play-in games and we lose both games, like it'll essentially feel the same as if we make it. Because if we make it, we play the Brooklyn Nets in the first round.
Well,
which would not be very fun without Jaylen Brown.
Yeah. I will say this though, for the Lakers. Look, we're probably more than likely going to be the 7th seed based on how this is looking. I mean, even if we win tonight, we're a game and a half behind both the Trailblazers and the Mavericks, both of who have the tiebreaker against us. So we can't even end with the same record. We have to be better than both. We'll see. But it might, I will say this, as much as I have been dogging on my own team, it's not the end of the world because we will be assuming we win our play-in game and get the 7th seed. We'll have to play the Warriors. Assuming we win that, we'll get the Suns, and all likelihood get the Suns first round. Team we literally just beat without LeBron James. Anthony Davis went off. I think that's a team we definitely can beat in a 7-game series, which literally disproves Kendrick Perkins' point, but I'll leave that alone. I already went off on that. How a 7 seed would be probably favored in that because it's easier to win a championship in the NBA if you have the best team. Anyways, I believe we could upset them and then get a date with the Clippers or the Nuggets. I mean, the Nuggets are only a game behind the Clippers, so they still could go back and forth, but I think that would be the matchup everyone would want to see, and we could get it in the Western Conference semifinals. So it's not all over. And I think if we can get on a roll, beat the Suns, and then beat the Clippers, I think at that point we should be able to handle anyone, at least in the West. But so I don't think it's all over. I've been pretty down on my team. I've heard some other Laker fans basically almost chalk up the season, but you have to keep in mind, playoff LeBron is a whole different guy. And if he's healthy, we're wealthy.
And I will say, for everybody who dogged the play-in tournament, if it holds right now, you would get LeBron versus Steph Curry in a play-in game. Now, it wouldn't be the elimination, but it'd be a play-in to the tournament game. And then one of those guys, Steph Curry or LeBron James, is going to have essentially a Game 7 right after that, which should make for some exciting basketball. So score 1 for the play-in tournament, score 0 for Connor.
Yes. And look, I don't know how, I still don't understand that argument. The play-in tournament is good. Like, I like it. It makes people, you do. We've always said the NBA, the regular season doesn't matter. It now matters. It matters. Because unless you're a top 2 seed, the 3, 4, 5, and 6 are going to play as hard as they can to make sure they stay in the top 6. And then 7, 8 are going to make sure are going to push to try to get into the top 6. And then if you're 9 through 12th or 13th, you're going to do your best to get to 10th. And then you win 2 games, you're in the playoffs. So this is just competitive all over the place. I don't know how you can really have an argument against this, to be honest. I love it. I think this is going to be fun because as it stands up right now, we get, yes, the LeBron James' Lakers versus Steph Curry's Warriors. And then you get young and upcoming Ja Morant and his Grizzlies going up against Greg Popovich and his Spurs. So kind of like an old school versus new school, kind of like that. And then over in the East, you get the Boston Celtics, injured Boston Celtics, up against the young and upcoming Charlotte Hornets. And then you'll have a game between the Indiana Pacers, a team that no one likes to watch, up against Russ and the scoring machine of Bradley Beal. Like, we would not get to see Russ and Bradley Beal without this play-in tournament.
Triple-double king.
A triple-double king and a guy who's putting up the second most points in the entire NBA. We get another chance to see them play a game. And if they win, which I would definitely take them over the Pacers in a win in advance type of game, then you get to see them play against the loser of Boston and Charlotte. So either a traditional franchise like Boston or a young and upcoming team like the Hornets, how was that not fun to watch? In a winner-take-all deal to get into the postseason, to then get absolutely shredded by the 76ers. Well, that's besides the point.
And you have to remember last time the Pacers and Wizards played, it was 154 to 141. So there's entertainment to be had in these smaller NBA games. And I mean, I'm not going to keep going in on Connor's argument, but for a guy who likes small market teams that don't get a lot of, national TV airtime and limelight like that, this is a good chance for them to display it in front of all of us. I don't know how many times the Wizards have been on national TV this year, but I haven't watched very many Wizards games on national TV or Pacers. The Hornets maybe a little bit more because of LaMelo Ball. But yeah, I think it's a good showcase for the league. And especially in a shortened season, the 72-game season. Because in a normal year, I mean, we feel down and out right now. We'd have 14 games left in a normal year. Our teams would. Mm-hmm. So there would be a ton of time to make up ground. I think the planned tournament is fantastic.
It's genius. It's absolutely genius.
Yeah, and I like the way they did it too. I like the format. I like that it's not 7 playing 10 and 8 playing 9. That.
Yeah. Because that's garbage. Because then that that would kind of hurt the 7 seed. There's no reward for being a top 7 or 8 seed at that point.
Right. And here you do have the chance.
And then you might as well just be the 10 seed, and if you win, you're in, So I like
right.
7 plays the 8.
Yep, I agree. I think they got it right.
Yeah. So we'll see how our teams fare in this, as probably both our teams will be playing in it. All of our teams, as Monte and I are both Lakers fans, Connor is a Pacers, and you're a Celtics fan. So all of our teams, ironically enough, are going to be in the playoff. I can say that I could, if you told me the Pacers were going to be in the playoff to begin the season, I'd say, yeah, I can see it, especially if they're not a favorite seed. But I did not expect that from the Lakers or the Boston Celtics. And if you guys remember way back when, they were both my preseason picks to go to the NBA Finals.
They were also mine, so
I don't know.
They've given themselves a chance, but it's not a great one.
Yeah, it's not looking too hot right now.
And James Harden wasn't on the Nets at that time.
Yeah. And I still, bro, call me crazy. I still do not believe fully in the Nets. I just don't. They don't even play enough together.
They don't play any games together. And I saw Kyrie took a shot to the face today, so he's probably out.
He didn't even finish. Kyrie either gets kicked out because he got called the N-word, he gets injured, or he has emotional problems off the court. KD, I mean, I'll give KD some leeway. He's still coming off of a pretty bad injury. And then James Harden hasn't been able to stay healthy. And then these guys are just going to magically just make it work on the court.
They do have the best players.
Yeah, we'll see. There's one basketball. And they can and the analytics can say all they want to about how James Harden being the point guard does this and that. There is one basketball. And when time gets down to when there's pressure, all three of those dudes are going to want the basketball. And who's playing point guard and who's doing this is not going to matter. It's I want to take the last shot. So that's just my stance on it when it comes to the Nets, because I don't believe in them yet. We'll have to see. We will have to see. A team that I am starting to not believe in is the Kansas City Royals. Now, if you guys listened to last week's episode, I hyped them up so much about how proud I was, how happy I was. I was for sure they're going to get to 80 wins, and they were first place in the AL. Man, how did that take that big of a turn since our last episode? Not only are they not the best team in the AL anymore, not only are they not the best team in the AL Central, they have fallen all the way to third. They have currently have a losing record. They have lost 8 straight games, 7 of them at home. I attended one of them. It was very boring. They had 2 hits in the entire game. Just pitiful. It is just pitiful what these dudes have been going through. And actually, I needed to refresh my camera because we lost tonight. So we've actually lost 9 straight games, and it's just not looking good. I don't know. I said it last week, and I really meant this though. I wanted them to take the next step. I was like, okay, so you guys had a great April. We're going above expectations. Now it's time to strap in and not be a surprise team, but be a team that has realistic expectations to win. And what have they done? They have not won a game since I've said that. So I don't know. They can't hit. Our pitching's not very good, and we just lost to probably the worst team in all of baseball. So yeah, I'm gonna shy away from some Royals hype for a little bit.
Probably a good idea, yeah, because like you said, nothing's going right at the moment. They even came back. They were losing 7-0 to the Tigers, the worst team in baseball. Came all the way back to tie the game in the 9th inning tonight and lost it on a walk-off. I mean, there's just nothing going right for this team. When the pitchers don't allow 6 runs in the first 3 innings, we don't hit the ball. And when we start hitting the ball, the pitchers let the other team hit the ball more.
More than us.
Classic. Classic letdown. Last week, 7 days, 7 games, no off days, only L's for our team. And what makes it worse is it was against all division rivals.
Yep.
And
you said it. I said it last week or 2 weeks ago. When their schedule was coming up, it was like 22 of their next 25 games at the time were going to be divisional opponents, and they have currently lost 9 straight divisional games.
Yeah, the only way to salvage May at this point is to win the 2 series this week. They've already got an L to the Tigers, so they'd have to win the next 2 games. Then they'll have to take 2 of 3 against the White Sox, who are
very good.
They've got it rolling now. Yeah, so. Ooh, not so good. What is good stuff, though, unless you're a hitter, 2 more no-hitters in the MLB this year. That brings us to 4 total. John Means for the Baltimore Orioles from Kansas. I picked him up the day before he threw a no-hitter on our fantasy team. Totally demolished Connor. It was awesome. Should have had a perfect game, but a drop third strike allowed a guy to reach for the Mariners. They actually ended up throwing him out at second base on a steal attempt. So he did face the minimum. That's as close as you can get to a perfect game without it being a perfect game for John Means. And then the Reds, Wade Miley throws another no-hitter on Saturday against the Indians, who have now been no-hit twice on the season already. And if you want some more context into how the Royals are doing, the Indians have been no-hit twice, and they're ahead of us in the standings.
And whooped us.
And whooped us, yeah. We were not one of the teams that got a no-hitter on them. But, yeah, that means it's now all the pitchers you would expect. John Means, Wade Miley, Carlos Rodon, and Joe Musgrove with the no-hitters this year.
Oh, yeah. Called it from a mile away. Called it from a mile away.
We all knew them heading into the season. No surprises there. Now, there was a little debate I saw on this, actually. People said the amount of no-hitters that have been thrown so far is actually bad for the game of baseball. I want to know what your stance on that is.
Well, I don't know. Because on one hand, it depends on who you're talking to. Because people who have complaints about baseball said the game takes too long. Well, if no one ever gets a hit, that game is flying by. It means every batter is just coming up, getting out, unless they get walked. But then the next, they're guys who are throwing no hitters aren't walking every other batter. So the game's getting over quicker. but there's less excitement. So the question is, I guess, do you want more excitement? So do you want now, God, we don't need any Alabama softball scores, but do we want a bunch of runs and the game take longer? Or do we want to see a great pitching battle and the game gets over quicker? So I think it's just about preference. Me personally, I don't know. I'm used to baseball being just a super long sport. And I don't think you can do whatever they want. They can have a clock. They can do this and that. And it really doesn't speed up the game all that much, at least to me. So I'd rather see excitement and see fireworks. Now, I'm not going to sit here and blame no-hitters on ruining the game. I mean, those are guys do out there. That's their job. But I do think it does take away from excitement. And this is a sport that needs a lot of it because they have lost quite a bit of fan base.
Yeah, I think it's a very interesting conversation because you know what, a lot of people who say they don't like the great pitching say they love our home runs. Well, it's a product of the home run era, and the way guys approach it now is why you get more strikeouts, and it's why guys don't put the ball in play as often, because now guys are going up there and they're saying it's easier for us to score if I put the ball over the fence right away, as opposed to us working our way around the base paths like you'll see in high school, college baseball still. It's easier for them to put the ball in the seat to get those instant runs on the board right then and there. So you're going to see a lot more guys who take this approach of, it's fine if I go up there and I strike out or I don't put the ball in play. Because if I go 1 for 4, 3 strikeouts, but I have a 2-run home run, then I've produced for my team as well as I could that game. As if you got 2 RBIs every game, I mean, you're a legend. Like,
yeah, you're a goat.
So I think if you want to blame anything, I wouldn't blame no hitters. I would blame the analytics and the approaches that are taken now. If you don't like seeing the game this way, blame the batters. Do not blame the pitchers. And don't blame the distance of the mound. Don't blame any of that because it's the approach that they're taking. And you wanted to see the big fly so much. We're getting a lot of home runs, but you're going to get a lot of strikeouts. You're going to get a lot of games where there's not very many hits, not as much action in the field. So
in the game, I don't know. I feel like the main complaints I've ever heard about baseball, for the people who don't like religiously, like obviously we're different. We watch sports basically as a living, but
right.
People are just casual fans. I feel like the main complaint about baseball is the game takes too long. Well, that speeds up the game. No hitters and home runs speed up the game because now you don't have 3 and 4 people that are all sitting here working their way around the bases. They're just going for a home run. They either hit a home run or they don't, and the game gets over quicker.
Right. And it's something to cheer for too during a game where there might not have been as much action hitting the ball as you wanted. You, as soon as that hits like the 6th inning, you can start to feel it. You're like, ooh, something big could be coming up right here. And that's something that you want to see at that point. And it completely changes the game. Like, we wouldn't have cared about Wade Miley going out throwing a shutout if he allowed 2 hits against the Indians. You know, we wouldn't have talked about Wade Miley on this show.
Yeah.
Or had John Means, had it been, you know, a single instead of drop third strike was his only runner, we probably wouldn't have talked about it. So, I don't know. I don't see how no hitters can be a bad thing for the game, but it's just preference. If you love seeing them hit the ball for home runs, then you're going to have to live with games like this.
Yeah. Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see, though, too. Like, being a contact hitter is going to lose its touch, I feel like, over time. Guys who are just consistently good at getting on base, or they want you to hit home runs now. So it's going to be interesting to see what kind of approach these teams take when they're building up their rosters in these off seasons, because they're going to have a bunch of guys who just can take it over the fence, and it's going to result to a lot of nothing for a while until someone randomly gets a hold of one, and then you get some fireworks for the first time through 6 innings.
Yeah, and you know, it's just the way the game goes.
Yeah,
all sports are constantly in motion. You never know what the next wave is going to be, but you ride the wave when it gets there. Maybe you like the old way they played, and obviously that'll carry into the new wave. They don't just completely disregard, the entirety of the sport, but this is the new wave we're on. So,
Yep. Yeah, we'll have to see. I don't know. Baseball as it is now, I mean, I still find it pretty exciting, and I like no hitters, so I'm never gonna blame the pitchers for going out there and doing their job. Like you don't
right.
You don't blame a defensive back for not allowing a single catch. Like he's doing his job.
Right.
Maybe it's not as exciting if there's no catches, but if he's batting the ball down,
yeah,
it's what to do.
Right. I completely agree. I think that's a good metaphor to use.
Yeah, like you gotta do what you gotta do. And one thing that my favorite NHL team did not do is make the playoffs, as we now have our standings and who are going to this year's playoffs. In the Central, you have the Hurricanes taking the top spot, and everybody else qualifying were the Florida Panthers, the Tampa Bay Lightning, and the Nashville Predators. The top 4 seeds in each division were able to move on and go to the postseason for this year. Everybody playing 56 games. And my favorite team division in the East, you have the Pittsburgh Penguins take the top spot, beating out a tiebreaker over the Washington Capitals. Then you had the Boston Bruins, followed by the New York Islanders. My team, the Rangers, finished 5th, so just missed out on the postseason. Pretty much if they had played in any other division, they would have gone to the playoffs. But unfortunately, we play in probably the hardest or one of the hardest. So not good enough for our team. In the North, which is full of nothing but Canadian teams this year, you had the Toronto Maple Leafs take the top spot in the North, followed by the Oilers, the Winnipeg Jets, and the Montreal Canadiens to round out their 4. And then over in the West, Monte's favorite team, the Vegas Golden Knights, took the top spot. And then they were followed up by the Colorado Avalanche, the Minnesota Wild, and then the godforsaken St. Louis Blues. They did make the postseason by the hair of their chinny chin chin, but they are in.
So you're going to have kind of a conundrum there.
I'm going. It'll be Colorado Avalanche all the way.
Oh, so you're hoping the Avs get that top seed then, so you don't have to see Monte's team versus Connor's backup team first round.
Okay, well, if that's the case, I'd rather the Knights win every single time. If we're doing that. I'm not rooting St. Louis.
No love lost for the Lou.
It's not happening.
Yeah, not a great season for the other 3 of us. Monte's team, they're actually playing for a chance to win the President's Trophy for best regular season team. Ironically, with the Avalanche. Yeah. So 2 teams out west, probably because they got to play against us and the Ducks so much because we were so bad this year. But that's neither here nor there. I'm super excited about the NHL playoffs. And it's weird because I'm dreading the NBA playoffs that my team will be participating in. And I can't wait for the NHL playoffs, which my team is not participating in, which is a little bit ironic. And so without further ado, I would like to announce who I'm cheering for in the playoffs this year. I picked 2 teams.
Oh, you taking 2?
I'm taking 2. Yeah, because I think what's going to happen is the Central is going to get paired up with the North. I think it's Central and East, and North and West are going to be paired up on their side of the bracket. So my ideal Stanley Cup Finals matchup would be the Florida Panthers and the Minnesota Wild.
Oh, man.
The 2 teams I've taken.
That'd be crazy. Okay, well, I don't know. If we're going 2 teams, then I'm taking the Avalanche because that was my preseason prediction. I'm taking Colorado, and I'm going with an old friend alert here. I'm going to root for the Nashville Predators.
Oh, going back to his ex.
No, it's not an ex.
Yeah, it is.
I rooted for them.
Yeah,
I rooted for them for like a season.
I think they made the Stanley Cup that season.
They did.
Wow. They're like your great white buffalo. You may never ever find that sensation again with the Rangers.
No, the Rangers are my team, but I'm going for the Predators for sure, and I'm taking the Avalanche. I think the Avalanche is taking it all the way though. They're going to take it all.
I picked the Avs preseason. If I had to pick a team that I think is going to win it, I'm also going to stick with the Avalanche. But the Wild and Panthers playing in the Stanley Cup Finals would be just two of the most ridiculous teams that we've never seen before. I had to rule out Canada as I'm an American. It's not like it's not like Connor's thing where he's just so anti-Canada that he can't stand Drake. You know, he doesn't like maple syrup. He doesn't like any of it. It's not anything like that against Canada, you know. It's just that there's a long streak right now of American teams winning it. So I'm going to cheer for the American teams, unless, of course, that's Monte's team, or unless, of course, that's the Blues.
Oh, yeah.
Or the Washington Capitals. And the only reason I'm cheering against the Capitals is because I hate Tom Wilson so much.
Agree.
So in the first round, this is not the team that I'm cheering for all the way, but mark me down as a big old Boston Bruins fan in the first round because Tom Wilson is the worst. And Boston, it's a pretty cool town. Beantown.
Well, that's where we disagree.
Beantown.
I will be joining you in rooting for the Boston Bruins because I do not like the Capitals.
Rangers fans have to hate Tom Wilson at this point.
I cannot stand the Capitals now.
No, you pretty much want his arms to get chopped off mid-game.
I don't want him to ever
slash so hard his arm falls off.
I don't want to see him swing another hockey stick ever again.
Well, let's hope the Bruins are playing real physical then. That's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah.
Tom Wilson, he's the worst.
Yeah. Screw him, screw the Capitals, and screw whoever is the disciplinary dude within the NHL because he sucks.
Harris.
He sucks.
Yeah. He's pretty pathetic, pretty weak. I think him and Tom Wilson have some backroom dealings, private room dealings, if you will.
Well,
there's no way.
I don't know where you was really going with that at first.
Well, I'm just saying. I think George Paros might be getting Tom Wilson off in more way than one.
Okay. I don't even know what to. Moving on. This is why I have to edit. Moving on.
I think that one could stay.
Maybe. Well, on a much better note than freaking Tom Wilson, the Manchester City has done it yet again. They have won the Premier League, taking it home. They are just one Champions League victory away from bringing home 3 trophies this season. Just so excited. I'm so happy. This is a team that has never had this opportunity to win both of these big time tournaments. And we've seen them win the Premier League. That's kind of starting to get old between them and Liverpool, as I'm sure the rest of the Premier League would agree to that. But very happy again. I still find it insane that just 2 years ago, they had over 100 points because they're at 80 and they've already clinched with just a few games remaining. There was at one point they had over 100 points, which is absolutely ridiculous. But yeah, I had to just throw that in there. Very happy, very proud. Y'all see the Man City jersey in the background right there. Very happy. One more big time win coming up. Uno
Well,
mas.
I'm not happy for him.
Uno mas.
I'm not happy for him. And I will be cheering for Chelsea.
Boo.
It's out of principle. I'm a Manchester United fan, you see. And it was our loss that won them the championship, which hurts even more. But it is what it is.
Chelsea has been gifted everything. We've been
Man City did, and this is a little bit surprising based on, how much people say they have no history and whatnot. Their 5th EPL title tied them with Chelsea for the second most all time.
Really?
For the English. Yep. As soon as they changed it to the English Premier League or the Barclays Premier League,
I see.
Since that change, they've got 5. Chelsea's got 5, and they're a ways behind number 1. But I'm pretty surprised. I guess that's what money can do for you when you spend it wisely and have the best manager probably in the world. Things seem to go pretty well for you. That's not a hard equation to figure out.
No.
Buy the best players, have the best manager. Foolproof system.
Yeah. And they find ways. And it's not even just like they go out there and get like the biggest stars. They don't get a Ronaldo, a Mbappe, a Messi. They get solid dudes who are really young, and they keep them for a long time. That's how Man City's been able to do this. They have depth. Their bench is better than most team starters. That's how they've found a way to do this. They can just throw guys in there, sub a guy off, and he could be just as good, if not better, than the starter himself. And they have found a way, it sounds like that's such a luxury to have. That is very hard to do, though, to get guys who could potentially be better than the guys who start over them to buy in, and who are not going to get the playing time that they probably feel that they deserve, to buy in and put this into a team effort. And they have done it multiple years now, which is why they are shockingly tied for second with Chelsea in Premier Leagues, which is just insane to think about. So, yeah. Pep Guardiola's done a great job. So we'll see. Finals just a couple weeks away. I'm very excited. So we'll be rooting for Chelsea. I will be going off for Man City.
If Chelsea wins this,
I'm gonna be so disgusted.
And they're actually finishing the season extremely strong. But if they win this now, Frank Lampard will never be allowed back at Chelsea. After everything he did for him as a player, they'd be like, it literally took this other guy 2 months to win us the Champions League. No, that's probably harsh. Frank Lampard's a legend, but man, it'd be a tough look.
Man City loses this year, I'm convinced they'll never win. They'll never win the final. I don't know how you build a better team than this. You're just solid at every position. Last year was just an insane fluke how they choked that away in the semifinals. I just cannot believe that still. But this would be egregious. And they're playing a better team. They got upset by a smaller team, and this would hurt more, because I don't know what else you can do. You've put together the perfect team for their style of play. And I don't know what else you can do. If you don't win it this year, I don't know. I really don't know. So I'll be very disappointed. And I'm not even just going out there saying like I expect them to win. I mean, I do think that they will win. But I mean, Chelsea's a very admirable opponent. I just don't know from like I'll start to kind of get like a Buffalo Bills back in the 90s type of feeling. Like, yeah, we're a good team. I just don't have expectations anymore, because we get there, we just don't win.
And that is what we're hoping for.
I don't know what else you want. No, we're not hoping for that.
That's what I'm hoping for.
That is not what we want. Not what we want. You know what I do want, though, Toby?
What's that?
I want a real answer on what happened in the Kentucky Derby, because it was stolen.
Oh,
Absolutely stolen.
Yes, and that is why I did not pick the race correctly. That's the only reason, because he cheated.
Yeah.
Not because my horse finished eighth or ninth.
Well,
I forget. I forget where my horse finished. But yes, Medina Spirit, the Kentucky Derby champion, caught with a banned substance at Churchill Downs. Bob Baffert, we made a big deal about him on the podcast too. What a shame about winning his seventh. Man, yeah, he is now a bad guy in the sport. Suspended by Churchill Downs track, which is, they were calling that Baffert's territory just after the race. And now he's banned from there. His coursers are still going to run in the Preakness. This is what's so wild. The horse that won the Kentucky Derby will run in the Preakness race, the second leg of the Triple Crown this weekend. Bob Baffert just won't be in attendance because he, quote unquote, doesn't want to cause a distraction. To who? The horse? is him showing up? The horse is like, man, this guy got me in a lot of trouble. I'm not going to run as well now.
I ain't running today.
I mean, he's not banned from that track. He's banned from Churchill Downs. He can still go to the Baltimore one, but choosing not to so that they can't put the cameras on him for the entire, lead up to the race. Man, yeah, who would have thought that of all the sports that you would have thought came out and there was a big conspiracy around the event of the year? We were talking about it being the Super Bowl, and now it's the Kentucky Derby. That's proven and not just assumed by Chiefs fans. Proven that there's a whole lot of sketchiness around this one.
I just don't even understand. I don't know. They said they used some type of cream or something.
Yes,
they rubbed on him, and that's what had the banned substance on there. I'm trying to figure out, why is he allowed to race then? If the horse is it still in his system? Is the banned substance still on him?
I think
just a week ago, 2 weeks ago.
I think what I read was that they're going to test him again because he actually just got his post position. He's going to race in the third post today in the Preakness. They're going to test them again, I would assume, the Friday before the race. And if the substance is still found, they won't race him. He'll be ineligible to race. But if he's not, they're going to race him. And I think if he wins and they don't find the banned substance, then it'll feel like a huge weight off the back of Baffert for, I think, the horse racing community. Because then they'll be like, okay, there might have been a banned substance, but
he's not all powerful.
Right. This horse can run. And I'm not sure either how much I don't know about juicing with horses. I don't know how
you're not an expert on that.
I'm not even an expert on juicing in baseball. Creed tells me that every player who does it's a cheater, but then
his favorite
praises Mark McGwire. So I mean, we don't even have a good handle on it when people are doing it. So no, cream on a horse. I don't know anything about that. I don't know anything about cream and horse. I don't know nothing about cream and horses. So I don't know how it affects. So I really don't know how it affects the horse at all. I might pick Medina Spirit to win this race to get some money back because it seems like it might be a good bet.
Yeah. What I want to know is, do people get their money back? Like, it was a fixed race in a way. So if you didn't bet, like, that's just you just out of luck.
Yeah. It really sucks is if you pick the second horse. They didn't strip him. I don't know how that works. But I don't think I got money back. Well, I'm pretty sure I did not.
All I can say is I picked highly motivated, and I know the reason now that they were not highly motivated. They knew that they were going to get cheated. So highly motivated was not motivated to go win a race that they knew they couldn't win.
Yo, is that bars? Was that a bar right there? Nice. Well, I'm going to go on record then too this week, and based on principle and not based on my better judgment, I'm not going to pick Medina Spirit to win. I'm rocking with Midnight Bourbon.
Oh man,
it's a cool name, and Last time I
It's
picked
in
based
his
on
sixth.
the one. Yeah, I picked based on the one trainer and jockey that I knew last time. Didn't work, so I'm going coolest name this time.
If they're in this race, I'm taking Saint Hood.
Saint Hood.
Saint Hood.
I am not sure if he's in the Preakness field.
Oh, if he's not, then I guess
They didn't. They didn't keep Essential Quality, who was the Kentucky Derby favorite,
yeah.
or the runner up.
Oh, really?
The runner up for the Kentucky Derby is
Hot
also
Rod Charlie in there. Yeah. Nah.
There you go. You could
Hot Rod Charlie or Saint Hood. If Saint Hood's not in there, I don't know. But I think that's a pretty dope name.
let's see who's the biggest underdog. Ram. I picked.
He doesn't even know what kind of animal it wants to be.
I picked the one post last time, and it was a big old letdown. So
if your name is Ram and you're a horse, you're probably not winning. You even know who you want. But we'll get to that. Unless you got it pulled up. I just want to know if Saint Hood's in there.
oh, I've got it pulled up. Saint Hood is not in there. There's actually only
Charlie.
10, nope. There's 10 horses in this race.
Oh, what are the names?
So there's Ram, there's Keep Me in Mind, Medina Spirit, obviously, Crowded Trade, Midnight Bourbon, Rombauer, Franz Godina.
Oh no.
I assume it's a European horse. Unbridled Honor, Risk Taking, and Concert Tour.
Unbridled Honor, here we come.
Unbridled Honor. That is the trainer that I went with last time.
Oh, let's go.
Not horrible odds. Yeah, Bob Baffert actually
Unbridled Honor.
Not Bob Baffert, the trainer who allegedly cheated. Not only does he have one horse in this race, he's the only guy with two horses in this race.
He can't be a distraction.
And they're both the favorites. They're the two favorites.
He's such a cheater. You're hard to label him. He's just a cheater, walking cheater.
Man, he'll be remembered forever for this by us now avid horse racing fans.
Yeah, we just know everything about the sport. Well, somebody who knows absolutely nothing about sports. I just absolutely nothing. Someone who doesn't know something. Connor Evan Reed. I know very much about sports. But we're going to give him this time to dedicate all to him because it is now time for Welcome to Your Creed moment. Highlighting people in the world of sports acting like our good old buddy who's stuck in Arizona at the moment, Connor Evan. You want me to go first? You got it.
I'll let you take this one first.
All right. So I told you I was going to unleash on this week's Creed moment. And my Creed goes to Kent Bazemore. Welcome to your Creed moment. This man, where do I begin? I didn't even hear about this story literally until this morning. But it was perfect. It goes right in with this. Because, and I'll tell you how this relates to Connor, but first let me tell you what he did. This man had the nerve, the unmitigated gall to come after my main man, Bradley Beal, talking about he was praising Steph for dropping so many, 40, what was the quote? He's able to drop 49 points in 29 minutes, and dudes are busting up their hamstrings to try to keep pace with him, alluding to Bradley Beal, who has been out with a hamstring injury, who missed 2 games due to a hamstring injury. Let's put some context into this. So Steph Curry is currently averaging 31.9 points per game, right? He leads the NBA in scoring. Bradley Beal is averaging 31.4 points per game, a 0.5 difference. So no one is out here straining their hamstrings to keep up with Steph Curry. In fact, Bradley Beal led for most of at least the first half, if not 2 quarters of the season as the top scorer in the league. So Steph just overtook him. Steph was chasing him. So there's been no everyone busting their kneecaps and busting hamstrings to try to keep up with Steph Curry scoring wise. Because let's be real, if Bradley Beal wanted to go out there, he can average more than 31 if he wanted. He's got another man on his team that literally averages a triple-double and takes just as many shots as he does. Steph Curry does not have that. So let's tone it down, Kent Bazemore. And Bradley Beal, I'm not even really getting to what he said. Bradley Beal was not happy about it at all. Brought up dude's mom, everything. He was not having it. Because how are you going to come at this dude when he's out here busting his behind? Ain't nobody worried about Steph Curry. The Warriors have barely made it into the play-in, and the Warriors and the Wizards are focused on making it to the play-in. And nobody's worried about stats right now. You're just trying to get into the postseason. How this relates to Connor? Kent Bazemore is the typical Creed because Connor, like usual, will take a point and be so literal about it that he refuses, that he doesn't hear any other point. So what I mean by that is this dude Connor will, yes, Steph Curry does indeed, as a fact, average more points than Bradley Beal. Well, a point, if we were having this conversation between me and Connor, he would make it, well, technically speaking, Steph Curry does score more points than Bradley Beal, so that would mean he would have to be breaking his hamstrings because technically speaking, by the definition of the word, he scores more points. Don't be so technical, Kent Bazemore. Don't be a Creed, okay? Yes, we understand. No one's even taking a shot at Steph. But you are not going to come for a man who's out here basically averaging the exact same amount of points. And when you put in context, he could average more than what Steph does if he really, really needed to or wanted to. But they're winning. The Wizards actually they're playing really good basketball right now with him averaging just 31 points around that. They're doing just fine. So Kent Bazemore quit being a Creed, quit being so technical about it, because just 2 months ago, I don't even think Steph Curry was a leading scorer. So no one's busting they're not breaking anything to keep up with him. So quit being a Creed.
Yeah, and to bring the injury into it too, like, hey, that's not cool. You know,
what is
did he really? And like, do you really think that Bradley Beal's out there thinking every game? He's like, man, I don't know what Curry did tonight, but if he had 42, I got to get 46. He does not care. He really doesn't care. I mean, neither one of them are going to be the MVP this season. So if you're chasing for that individual award status, first of all, he's chasing the wrong person. But you're just worried about winning games, like Gannon said. You're not playing this to outscore a guy that you aren't playing against every night. In fact, they play him twice a season, and if he outscores him there, yeah, he might be chasing Steph Curry, but he's not. He's chasing the Warriors. Now he might want to, in a duel, outdo him. That's like All-Star game stuff. But yeah, Kent Bazemore, the whole quote in and of itself. Like, if you would have said he scores 49 points in 29 minutes, amazing, left it at that, we'd have been like, yeah, that's fair. But yeah, bring other dudes into it. When you're the player that you are,
you average 7 points a game.
Yeah, when you're the player that you are, that's
his player efficiency rating is a 10,
which is not very good.
No,
like MVP levels right now. If you look at like a Jokic or an Embiid, they're in the 30s. So
yes, 10.
Yeah, not what you like to see from Kent. Not a guy who should be saying too much. And I'm gonna do something different for my Creed moment. Not different as in how Connor makes it different. But I'm actually going with my anti-Creed moment of the week. Something a little bit different. And this one comes from the new Dallas Cowboys linebacker, Jabril Cox. Now, backstory on Jabril Cox. He's from Kansas City, Missouri, went to Raytown South, went up to North Dakota State, won himself a championship, transferred down to LSU, where he won himself a championship.
Another one.
Then gets drafted into the Cowboys organization.
That does not
Now the Cowboys rookies, they all flew down to Dallas. They were doing their, getting acquainted with the city. You saw the other Cowboys players. They were tweeting out, well, finally down in Texas, got to get me some of this Texas barbecue. But Jabril Cox, the man with all the intestinal fortitude and knowledge in the world on barbecue, being from Kansas City, still tweeted out, and he said, I'm sorry, Dallas, but Kansas City got the best barbecue, and you can't tell me otherwise, because Jabril Cox is that dude. He's the Cowboy we like. We're glad Sean Lee's out. Jabril Cox is in. We're all pumped up about that. KC native, and we all little cuckoo. That's right. Dropped in a Tech 9 lyric right there.
Oh,
this is an anti-Connor moment. Big time. Because Connor, despite having never lived in St. Louis and living for, I don't even know, what was he? Came here in 6th or 7th grade year?
Yeah.
When he left Indiana. So living here for the better part of a decade. Denounced Kansas City to go side with St. Louis, a place where he's never lived, only visits.
Because of their baseball team.
Denounced denounces Kansas City. So Jabril Cox, for having the gall and the intestinal fortitude and the and just being, true to the city. Such an anti-Connor. He didn't denounce it. He didn't go in there and say, well, I now play for the Cowboys, and since they're my favorite team, their city is now superior to where I've called home. Nope, not Jabril Cox. And so I'd like to formally announce on this podcast, Jabril Cox is the podcast's favorite Cowboy.
No.
And he is. Gannon's going to say Gallup, and that's a great option. We're going to have to figure out where he stands on Kansas City barbecue. I think if he takes KC over Texas barbecue, then we can have a serious discussion. We'll probably have to get him on the show, ask him the real hard-hitting questions. But as of right now, we've got our offensive Cowboy, Michael Gallup, and our defensive Cowboy, Jabril Cox. And maybe, just maybe, they could salvage the franchise that is being ran by.
That's not what we want.
They could salvage it.
They can be great individually. As a team, they're old. 8-8. Well, actually, we can't be 8 anymore. 8-9 ways sound just about right.
I mean, as long as Jabril Cox is playing well as the podcast Cowboy, then
that I don't care about. I don't care about him individually. You see, I still rep Michael Gallup jersey. I'm very happy for him every single time he scores, whether it's against my teams or not. And at the end of the day, I need the Cowboys to lose. So
true that. But yep, Jabril Cox definitely an anti-Creed in this particular case.
Yeah. No, I like it. I like kind of going against the grain, but in a different way than Connor does it.
Right. I went a little non-conventional there, because if Connor was here, he would be telling us about how John Means is the Creed of the week because they both lived in Kansas. They both throw no-hitters. Connor in a video game, John Means in real life. But yeah, it's good. It's good to, break off, try something new. And I think this one is very, very pertinent to Creed. Especially right now as he cannot get back home to Kansas City.
Yeah, he can't even come back to the city, let alone showcase his love for the city.
Oof.
Yeah. You got any final thoughts?
But we want you. Well, yeah. Number one, Creed, we want you to come back this summer. We don't want you to get stuck down there. So,
come back.
do make your way back up here. My final thought, I go to the world of boxing, where we've got to talk about him. Canelo Alvarez, 56-2-1. He's maybe the baddest boxer on the planet right now. I put him right there with Tyson Fury. In other boxing news, Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua are going to fight either August 7th or 14th. Total score. But Canelo Alvarez beat an unbeaten Billy Joe Saunders in what was actually a really, really good fight until Canelo Alvarez busted his eye socket open in the 8th round. Billy Joe Saunders was immediately rushed to the hospital where he had surgery on his eye socket, which sounds incredibly horrible.
Extremely painful.
And I do have one gripe with boxing. Why are there 4 champions per weight class? Canelo Alvarez is currently, as we speak, a 3-time champion, which is weird to say. It's not even 3-time, it's 3-division champion.
Yeah.
But because he doesn't fight an IBF, he's not the undisputed super middleweight champion, because Caleb Plant, who's unbeaten, holds the or IBF belts rather. So my gripe with boxing, I would like to see him really do away with promotions, make it more similar to UFC, have the guys fight in their weight class, doesn't matter promotions, which belt, unify it all the time, and give this man Canelo his unified belt, because he's earned it.
He's freaking good.
He's the real deal. He's the closest thing to Floyd since Floyd, and Floyd better not let us down in the fake boxing world.
Well, hold on now, because believe it or not, that's exactly where I was going for my final thought. Sticking with boxing, just bro, what is going on between Jake Paul and Floyd Mayweather over a hat? Jake
Gotcha hat.
And he changed his Twitter name to that. Gotcha hat. If you haven't seen the video, it's so ridiculous. These dudes were doing some type of presser or whatever. You know how they always do. They gotta hype up the fight. And this dude, Jake Paul, stole Floyd Mayweather's hat, which led to so many different memes and TikToks and all type of stuff. So stupid. Just acting like children. You talking about gotcha hat. Led to this massive scramble all over the place. Reporters are getting trampled, and you can hear people, cameras getting flopped over. It was just so dumb. It just plays right in the hand. This is such a childish event. I don't even know what's gonna go down. I mean, obviously, I believe Floyd Mayweather will absolutely destroy him, but this is just so childish. This whole thing. I'm not even hyped to see it. I want to see it because it's entertainment, so I want to see. I'm gonna obviously watch it, but it's not like a fight where, man, we gotta make sure we get ready for this Mayweather Jake Paul fight. That's not the type of feeling I have. It's for the sake of knowing what's going on in the sports world, I feel like I have to watch this, because this is gonna be probably one of the most ridiculous things we've ever seen. And that's saying something, seeing how we saw Nate Robinson fight.
Yep, and Ben Askren's debacle. Yeah,
that was just Nate Robinson was just like an embarrassment on the Black community. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, he made it to the second round. Ben Askren was a pro fighter.
Yeah, at least he did make it to a round, at least barely.
Yeah, I mean, he got there though. But no, and do you remember how exciting the Floyd Mayweather versus Conor McGregor fight was? Yeah. And nobody thought McGregor would win. That wasn't the thing. It was a cash grab event. But at least at that point in time, you were fighting a guy who was knocking everybody out in UFC. So you said, you know what? He has knockout power. So we're not going to rule this guy out because of what he showed us in the octagon, in an actual fighting.
And he's a serious competitor.
Arena, right? And I think he took it serious. I think he trained serious. I don't think he does very much with grappling, because not too long after that, Khabib pretty much mauled him. But that's beside the point. So he was well trained for boxing. Yeah, and there was the hype around that fight felt like serious. That was one where it probably wasn't or I wasn't personally as hyped up as I was for Fury Wilder per se, but like, that was exciting. This is not exciting. This is just me saying, God, I hope Floyd doesn't lose.
Yeah.
And you don't think he will, but there would be nothing won or lost for Floyd if he wins the fight. So I don't understand it at all. At least when Floyd beat McGregor, you would say, well, maybe there's nothing win, nothing lost. But that's just proving that, UFC guys, the best UFC guys, can't come to the ring and take down the best boxers. And he went out and he proved that. So there actually was, in my opinion, something to fight for there, sort of a bragging rights sort of deal between the two combat sports that we talk about most often.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this fight.
This is a YouTuber.
Yeah, I'm not even at half chub for this fight. I'm like, I don't know. It's yeah, man. What a weird sports year this has been, huh?
It's hey, when there's a pandemic and sports aren't officially kind of back in their normal state, this is what we get. Got your hat. we get got your hat. But that'll do it for episode 40. This was fun. I'm gonna keep doing it. I don't know. Well, hopefully the other two will be on for the next one. If not, Toby and I will be right back here, feeding you guys some of the best sports news we can for you. But now definitely always have fun. I am still trying to get a hold of the guy who was originally gonna try to get us some apparel. So we'll see. Try to get some sports resort gear out there for you guys. Do some free giveaways and stuff like that. So we will definitely have that coming.
Yes, sir.
But I want to thank you guys for listening, and man, cannot wait. I'm really excited to see what's up with this NFL release schedule, so we can start making our plans as a group. And you people, the listeners as well, you guys start making your plans, see which NFL games you guys want to go to. So
yep, the Lions Thanksgiving game.
No, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. And I don't think the Lions fans will be doing that either.
Hey, there's usually a decent showing there.
It'll be a blackout game.
Oh, they have a decent showing. Don't do the Lions like this.
Sorry, Lions fans, if I offended you, but you guys have a good one. Lions fans never really have a good one, though.
Eesh.